Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good to see you, Ms. Weichert. I think the majority of members on both sides of this committee understand the need to make some reforms in the federal government. We've had hearings on everything from mismanagement at the Veterans Affairs, Social Security, cybersecurity, improper payments, and I could go on down the list. I mean, we're acutely aware of that there are needs that, for reform. You said something in your testimony that the federal government operates much like it did 50 years ago. I've been acutely focused on how do we reduce improper payments, and it's a huge problem. It was $140 billion last year. Do you see the reforms as having a very positive impact on reducing improper payments?
I think to the extent that we can get management oversight of like programs like money, it's going to improve general management efficiency. It's not the only way. And
well, it's also the data systems.
Absolutely.
The savings that you can generate from some of these reforms and reducing the proper payments can go back into replacing data systems, which
absolutely
should really improve that area. You also mentioned the GAO's high-risk list, and that not every federal agency has taken action to get it. We know that from hearings here that not every agency has taken action. Will this effort to improve accountability from the federal agencies? Will this effort improve that?
That is absolutely one of the objectives.
Will it help increase our oversight and our effectiveness?
That is absolutely the goal.
I also want to get into an area that I think is of great importance, and that's the whole issue of infrastructure in the permitting process. And you mentioned in your testimony that the need to reduce the permitting time. Madam Chairman, I'd like to introduce a couple of reports into the record. One is 2 years, not 10 years, redesigning infrastructure approvals. It's from an organization called Common Good. And they make this point that a 6-year delay in starting construction on public projects costs the nation over $3.7 trillion. That's more than double the $1.7 trillion that's needed to upgrade America's infrastructure through the next decade. And that's everything. That's rail service, water infrastructure, roads and bridges, inland waterways, power generation, power transmission. I really think that what you're trying to do, what this administration is trying to do in regard to infrastructure is critical. And to give you a more local example of that, and I would also like to introduce this report into the record assessing the cost attributed to project delays in Texas.
Without objection.
There was a rural road. It was a 4-lane project, 2.7 miles. It was delayed 33 and a half months, and the delay was $96,000 a month. That added $3.5 million to just a 2.7 mile rural road project. Then U.S. Highway 59 in Texas, 2.6 miles. They were going to widen that stretch of road. 5-year delay at $297,000 a month. That added $17.8 million to the project. And then I-10 and I-410 in the San Antonio area, adding an interchange is 1.5 miles that was affected. It was delayed 11 months at $447 a month. That added $5.1 million. We're literally throwing our infrastructure dollars down the drain with these delays. And if you'd like to comment on that, I think the committee would be very interested in hearing your thoughts on how we're going to make these changes that will reduce the permitting delays.
Absolutely appreciate that. And reducing burden and actually increasing the economic output are definitely, important missions that we have out of this plan. I think the Army Corps proposal for the civilian works is a great example of just what you're talking about. Very good intentions to preserve various people's rights around our waterways, to protect fish, lead to very complex and hard to navigate conflicting regulatory burden that make it very difficult to do improvement projects of any type. And I think that's an example of exactly what you're saying.
Well, one other point here, we've had hearings on cyber security breaches, particularly at the Office of Personnel Management. And one of the problems that we have is hiring highly qualified people. We have a program at the University of Alabama, Birmingham called the Joint Forensics Research, the Center for Information Assurance and Joint Forensics Research, one of the top guys in the world running this. His students have a job before they graduate, but if they try to get a job with the federal government, it's months before they can even hear back from them. And I just wonder if part of this restructuring is going to enable us to hire the very best that's out there to work in the federal government on cybersecurity. And if the chairman she may answer.
Thank you. So absolutely, and that is one of the key areas of why we wanted to elevate the OPM function, because getting to the bottom of that challenge requires strategic emphasis and a real commitment at the top of the house.
So the bottom line is we've got to change.
Absolutely.
I thank the chairwoman for her indulgence, and I yield back.